Okay, I'm going to start again. Hi, everybody. This is Lynne Twist and Bill Twist.
Hello.
From San Francisco, where we are sheltering in home, sheltering in place, sheltering in space, sheltering in love, as you are yourself. And this is the really the more official launching of what we want to have every Monday at noon, at least during this next little while. Conversations for Resilience and Possibility from the Pachamama Alliance. So first of all, I want to thank you all for being here. There's right now about 200 of you out there. And if you are on gallery view, you can see everybody and you can scroll to the left and the right. Gallery view, I think most of you know this by now, since Zoom is our way of communicating with each other more than anything right now. If you go up in the right-hand corner, you can click on gallery view and see all these beautiful faces. And we've asked you to put in the chat room your name and where you're calling from. So thank you for doing that, all of you. Hi, everybody. So we hope to do this every Monday. And we are so grateful for our community and the opportunity to convene this way. And I'm going to start, as we always do, by opening sacred space. And so if you are not driving, and I can't imagine that you are, since most of us are supposed to be staying at home, please let your eyes close. And as you follow your breath, give gratitude for the fact that you can breathe, that this respiratory virus has given us a signal to remember how important it is to breathe, how powerful it is to breathe, how deeply we can breathe together now. And for those who are unable to breathe, who are on respirators, for those who are trapped in ways now that are unimaginable for our imagination, let's have our hearts go out to them as we breathe in and breathe out the power and the home of our community. The sacred space we call home. Maybe your apartment, it may be your house, it may be your room, but it's in our bodies, in our hearts, and in our relationship with each other and on our earth that we find our home. And may our prayers go out to the people now who are ill, who have lost a loved one, or those who are now fighting the good fight on the front lines. The health workers, the doctors, the nurses, the orderlies, the hospital workers, the firemen and firewomen, the police force, the people delivering our food, the people still driving trucks, the people in manufacturing essential ingredients and essential products to sustain life and to sustain our capacity to survive. May we pray for them. May we open sacred space for them. May we nourish them with our time together. I'm going to read, as we breathe together, some words from our beloved colleague, Archon Lushwala, the Peruvian shaman or healer, ceremonial teacher and healer. Doesn't call himself a shaman. Some of you have heard this before, but it bears repeating. Archon says, in a deep, primordial part of ourselves, many of us have been waiting for something like this to happen. Someone or something powerful and sacred had to intervene in order to stop the destruction of the sources of life. The earth herself has now done so. Viruses, like everything, are made by the earth. And now as humanity, we are forced to make the sacrifice we could not make from our own will. Painfully now, the sacrifice goes beyond letting go of our comfort and the habits that led to an excessive consumption of goods. Not only the basic ones, but the ones that we consume in excess for mere pleasure and entertainment. Unfortunately, now there is also a sacrifice of human lives. With deep compassion for those who are suffering, I have to say that the earth is still being kind and gentle, that her way of defending herself could be much worse. Our Mother Earth must be suffering more than anyone, while she is disappointed in us for not having changed when we could have, when there was still time for us to do it on our own. Our Earth, Pachamama, would not be doing what she's doing right now unless there was time to change. The capacity that nature has to regenerate is extraordinary, extremely powerful, and in some cases surprisingly fast, but we have to listen. The earth is telling us that the moment for change is now. Okay, take another breath and open your eyes and behold our community. Okay, so the purpose of this is to come together as community and to continue to empower ourselves, to deepen our capacity for resilience and keep our hearts and minds open to possibility as we go through these challenging times. And today we have the great delight and honor of having two of the Pachamama Alliance board members join us for a conversation about resilience and possibility in the context of the Pachamama Alliance. So Bill and I are honored to be with you, our beloved community, and delighted to share with you two of our wise, wonderful board members who are going to join us now and create the space for this conversation.
Great. I want to start, I just want to remind us and read to you the purpose of the Pachamama Alliance. And so the Pachamama Alliance, empowered by our partnership with Indigenous people, is dedicated to bringing forth an environmentally sustainable, spiritually fulfilling, socially just human presence on this planet. And that's really building a world that works for all. And by that, all we mean the entire community of life. And then something that I want us to focus on is we say our unique contribution is to generate and engage people everywhere in transformational conversations and experiences consistent with this purpose. So this gathering that we're doing is really part of that work. Our purpose is to generate and bring transformational conversations to people. And the opportunity we have with the two board members is just that. So first, we're going to hear from Reverend Deborah L. Johnson. Most people know her as just Rev D. A lot of people didn't even know she had a last name. So her full name is Reverend Deborah Johnson. And she's the founding minister and president of Inner Light Ministries, which is a omni-faith outreach ministry in the Santa Cruz area of Northern California. And she's been on our board for a number of years, and she's a constant prod, guide, inspiration for us to think newly, think differently, to push ourselves, to push new conversations into existence for the board. And she's just a phenomenal energy and board member, and it's really a pleasure to introduce you. Some of you know her, but a lot of you do not. It's a pleasure to introduce you to her today and to invite her to be with us. So Rev D, take it away.
Thank you, and welcome to everyone for this extraordinary moment that we are in history. And I invite everybody, just as we're going throughout this entire program together, this Zoom program, just keep taking some long, deep breaths. I had the opportunity to meet Lynne a number of years back. I think it was 2007 through my publisher when she endorsed one of my books. And then I met Bill on a sacred trip to the rainforest in 2011. It was a trip that was specifically for people doing social justice work. And my spiritual community had been doing Awakening the Dreamer seminars and putting a little more social justice twist on it. And I've been on the board, I guess now since 2012. You know, as Bill was just reading our purpose statement and our mission, that we are here to be in partnership with indigenous peoples, and we are here to learn from the ancient wisdom that they have to teach us and the wisdom of the earth, and to do our part, to make sure that we have a world that's spiritually fulfilling, environmentally sustainable, and socially just. There is a certain resilience that if we are able to have it, and if we are able to maintain it, we can rise to the possibilities of this moment. And I appreciate the fact that the title of this series is called Resilience and Possibility, or Possibility and Resilience. That this COVID virus, this COVID-19 virus in particular, has really provided some interesting circumstances for us to get at that underlying tenet that we teach in the Pachamama Alliance, which is the interconnectedness of all life. In my own lifetime, I can't think of another time when there has been such a sense of us being in a global community with an understanding that there's just one planet, that there's just one people, that this life force is no respecter of boundaries, is not a respecter of nationalities or races or religions or socio-demographic issues. There's a way that this virus has kind of leveled the playing field and really shown us that we are all just one planet, just one people, and that it is important for us to work together for the sanctity and the saving of lives. We often talk about our footprint on the planet. And one thing that I do, particularly as a social justice advocate, is talk about our footprint on the people. The footprint that we have on the planet mirrors the footprint that we have on the people. And all of the efforts that we are making right now are trying to really reduce our collective impact on the people. And what I find particularly interesting about this moment is that our shelter in place, our staying in our homes, is not simply that we won't be harmed, but this deepening understanding that there's a way that we can impact other people, that we could have an imprint, we could have a footprint on people in a way that we haven't even thought about. And just that kind of conscious awareness that we truly impact each other in ways that we may not even know, that if we can remember that, I think it takes us a lot closer to us getting towards those tenets that we're talking about of the interconnectedness of all things. As Archon mentioned in the letter that was just read, his message to us, yes, this is a time of very drastic measures. And no, none of us would have chosen this. But what I have grown to understand about life is that our experience is not the circumstances of life, it's how we name them. Just breathe that in for a moment. That your experience isn't actually what happens, it's the narration that you have on what's happening. And that narration is happening in real time. We have a tendency to talk about our story, like our analysis of what's happened in the past. No, our narration is in real time, right here, right now. Our words are powerful. Our words shape our paradigms and our words shape our experience. And I would invite everybody to stop using the term lockdown. I know I had to do that myself, but as one who's done prison outreach for the past 20 years, we are not on lockdown. If there's nobody outside your door with a gun to your head and nobody inside telling you what to do, you are not on lockdown. But more importantly, we need to use the language that lets us embrace this moment. Now, I've been referring to it as my healthy homestay. You may have something that works for you. But the point of it is, as long as we think that it's put on us, you can't get the blessings from it. I don't care what it is. It could be a health situation like cancer. It could be a divorce situation. It could be something happening in your relationships. As long as we think that life is happening at us, that life is happening to us, then that puts us in a sense of being disempowered. And that moment when we just take a deep breath and say, you know what? I don't want it, but at this moment, my body is experiencing cancer. You know, I don't want it, but at this moment, this is what's happening in my relationship. It gives us a chance to engage at a deeper level, to get out of denial, to be awake, and to start making some choices and some changes about what it is that we're doing. And we're all being called on now to make some new choices. And it's interesting. I always say, pay attention to nature. Pay attention to nature. We're entering the springtime now. And one of the things about nature is that nature never goes back. It never goes back. We keep talking about when are we going to be able to get back. I'm hoping we don't even try to get back. Nature always moves forward. It moves forward. Where do we go from here? It is like we're having a big cosmic reset button. And even the earth is responding. The air is clearing up. The waters in the canals of Venice are clean again. There is something that's happening that's revitalizing. And as Archon said, we lacked the will to do it on our own. No, we wouldn't want this to happen. But now that it's here, now that it's here, now that we have an opportunity to rethink, now that we have an opportunity to detox from the consumerism, the ways in which we've been mindlessly going about our days, now that we've been stripped of so many of our distractions and things that anesthetize us, even the things that we love, the contact with our spiritual communities, or being able to go to the classes, there's something about this moment that is so rich and pregnant. Rich and pregnant. And it's calling for all of us to make a sacrifice. Part of social justice is that in the efforts to do restoration, it's important that no one population bear all of the brunt of it. Now, mind you, the impacts of this are not even by any stretch of the imagination, depending on where people are economically, if they have children, if their jobs are threatened, their health conditions. I'm not saying that it's even, but what I am saying is that there's a way in which it is impacting everyone, and we cannot go back. Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall, but we can, in fact, move forward. Something has happened. This is an opportunity for us to connect, to restore, to reflect, to really notice our families, to build relationships back with one another again. I am so amazed at all of the creative things that people are doing to stay connected. We have to keep hope, keeping our heart open, staying in possibility and engaged, HOPE, our heart open, staying in possibility and staying engaged. And I would like to end with this certain something that's happening within me now as I'm personally dealing with this. I shared on our pre-call that there was a song that I ran across online. It caught my attention because it was a young girl and it had gotten millions of hits, and it was a song that she was singing in church. I'd never heard this song before. It was called Take Me to the King. And the chorus is, take me to the King. I don't have much to bring. My heart is broken into pieces, but it's my offering. That had just been sitting with me. And I realized why I resonated with it. It isn't that my heart is broken now, but it's my plans. My plans are in pieces. And at this great transformative moment, it is my offering, my surrender, my willingness to let go of the attachments, to open up to what the universe is trying to do for whatever is next. And what I'm finding in my own life is that the more I let go of my attachment and the more I let go of my plans, and the more it feels like the life that I had been knowing, and trust me, as one who has a spiritual community that's all about gathering and connecting, ooh, this is challenging, not to mention financially. But what I've noticed is that in the midst of all of that, my dreams are coming alive. My dreams, the things that I've longed for and wanted to do, the things that I put on the back burner, the things that I just haven't had a time to nurture or to think about. And I don't know what it is for you, but I'm hoping that I'm trusting that in this right moment, that you keep that hope alive, that you keep your heart open, keep staying in possibility and engaged. Just because we're asked to socially distance doesn't mean disconnect. We need connection now more than ever. And thank you for joining us.
Wow. Thank you, Rev D. Thank you so much. Wow, there's so much to think about from what you said, and we will have a chance for all of you to respond with comments and sharing in a little while. So write down notes of things you might want to say or just things you want to remember. Also, this is being recorded. I didn't say that at the beginning, and will be available. Rev D, you're so wise. It's so moving to be in the presence of your message and with everybody. So we're going to go now to another one of our precious, beloved members of our beloved community, the big community, and this part of the community called the Board of Directors of the Pachamama Alliance. And we're going to call on Kristin Walter. Kristin is the co-founder of a wonderful organization called Feel Good. And in 2005, when she was a college student at the University of Texas in Austin, she started a single campus initiative that turned into a vibrant national movement, impacting the lives of thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of young people on campuses all over, called Feel Good. And then now she's done many things, but she's now a co-founder of Crew 2030, which is an organization that partners with organizations that are mobilizing communities of change through technology. And she's also on the board of Pachamama Alliance. She's also the mother of 4 children. She actually just had a baby. She's homeschooling the bigger ones. They're not that big. And she has a baby on her breast most of the time. And she's staying at home with these wonderful children and family and with her husband. And they're also homeschooling with another family. So she's in a situation that many mothers, many families are, where 24/7 with all their kids, with the responsibilities that schools used to have, with the responsibilities that grandparents were helpful with, all in one house, all the time, 24/7. So I want to ask you, Kristin, to share your experience now. What is your attention on, and how does this community of Pachamama Alliance show up for you in your life there in your home? So Kristin Walter.
Hello, am I unmuted? Yeah. Thank you, Lynn. Rev D, your joy, your perspective and your joy are a gift. So thank you for that. Let's see, I just want to presence myself because I'm feeling so grateful to be with this community, particularly right now, because I haven't had much time by myself. So I'm just soaking it in. And I love being with my children, but this is, this serves me in another way. And thanks for the prompt, Lynn. I've been thinking a lot about this time with you all. And what I come back to is the role that the Pachamama Alliance has played in my life. And I know it's played a huge role in the lives of everyone on this call and thousands of people around the world, hundreds of thousands. And as you were saying, Bill, this is, the work of the Pachamama Alliance to see clearly, to change the dream of the modern world, to be in community, to have the conversations we need to have, to be who we need to be, to create the world we want. All of the work that we've been doing with each other has been preparing us for this moment, and I'm feeling astonished and grateful. So I wanted to, and I have, as a mom, as someone who's on maternity leave, and grateful for that at this time, I'm asking myself a lot of questions, and a lot of questions. Sometimes I can't sleep at night. And I'm wanted to organize my thoughts in the 3 buckets of social justice, environmental sustainability, and spiritual thriving. And I'm so grateful for the Pachamama Alliance for giving the language, the insight, the perspective to feel like I belong to something bigger, to remember who I am, and to be on that journey with others. So gratitude abounds. Thanks for reading Archon's letter, Lynne, and for sharing that. That's been a hugely important platform for me to engage with where we are at now. And one of the things that Archon said, not in that letter, but on a call earlier this week, is that we don't want to damage the earth, but we don't know how to stop. We don't want to damage the earth, but we don't know how to stop. We are addicted to our habits and ways of being that destroy the earth, even though it hurts. And, with addiction, you don't fight addiction. Our war mentality is powerless in the face of addiction, but we hit rock bottom, we acknowledge we have a problem, we acknowledge we have an addiction, and we ask for help. So as you were saying, Rev D, relating to this virus as a request, a call for help from life itself, is an orientation that has empowered me and has brought joy to this experience. And the question that I have personally is, it's giving us the opportunity to stop, but will we walk through this opening? Will we stop? I thought I had stopped. Like, oh, you know what? I'm staying 6 feet away. That's stopping for me because I love hugging people. So that was one restraint. And then, as the days go on, the levels of stopping keep dropping and dropping. From now my kids aren't going to school, and I'm going to stop everything I was doing while they were at school. And then, but we're still going to go to the parks and we're going to go to the beach. Thank goodness we live in California. And then, oh, nope, we're staying at home. We're walking around our neighborhood, and it's just like the levels keep stopping. And at first I was, almost fretting. I didn't think I was fretting, but in retrospect, I know I was, because it wasn't until I think really Thursday or Friday, so almost 2 weeks in, that my energy shifted, and I just was able to drink in the beauty of being with my kids in a different way. Like, they're funny. I'm not rushing them. They're interesting and they're wise. And I've needed 2 weeks of stopping, and I think I'm a good mother. But to really discover and explore the profound beauty of children in another way. And so my question for myself is, and I before this call, I was like, oh, I haven't even stopped to ask myself this question, but what level of stopping do I want to get to? What am I willing to surrender my doing and my plans and my ideas to, like what, and I don't have an answer to that. It's just, I think it's going to be my daily or weekly meditation. What does stopping look like this week? Because I have been, I guess frustrated or disappointed that I don't feel like collectively we're stopping. Like I guess that's because I have a husband who's working, and all of the people I know are trying to work and homeschool and they've got more to do than they've ever done before. And where's the space to stop and to be and to learn the name of a new flower or find a new constellation in the sky? Right? Because we have these systems and structures that really, they push us to keep scrambling, to keep our job, to keep our healthcare, to keep our influence, to keep up socially. Like the scramble isn't a criticism. It's a consequence of the structures we've created. So I'm wondering, how long do we need to stop? And I don't have an answer, and I don't think I'm supposed to. I don't think any of us are supposed to. And then when I think about social justice, man, the gap, it's widening. Like my bubble, I've been in a bubble, and now my bubble feels even thicker. My husband hasn't lost his job. I haven't lost my job. My family members haven't lost their job. And I know this is not the reality of most of the people. I have a yard for my kids to play in. I've got goats that jump on a trampoline. Like I have endless entertainment, endless ability to sit in awe and wonder. But we're collectively asking ourselves, what are we going to do about healthcare? What are we going to do about education? What are we going to do about income inequality? What are we going to do about the refugee crisis? These are questions we've always asked, but we are facing them with a new urgency or a new willingness to look at how broken our society is. And suddenly ideas like universal basic income become politically possible. Education, equal education for all become a necessity. Valuing caretaking becomes, and teachers, understanding the role teachers play in our society. So there's so much possibility that is available in this crisis and this breakdown. But at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, and this is because of the work that I've been doing with Pachamama. I've been a part of, and maybe some of you here have been on these, a part of this book club on white fragility. So it's been, over a year of gathering with people wanting to investigate and examine our white fragility and our culture of white supremacy, this culture of dominance and control. And I am realizing that, that is what I have grown up in, this way of engaging with the world through needing control for a sense of self, for a sense of success. And even like, as I think about this virus, I'm noticing viruses, we can relate to this as a virus that we can control. Thank you, Rev D, for taking the language of lockdown out of my vocabulary. But we can control the virus, or we can learn from the virus. So what am I paying attention to? Because for a while I was looking at the news and realizing it was just putting me back in a way of thinking and in a way of relating to life that was our old paradigm, coming from an old paradigm. And the discipline to pay attention to a perspective that honors and values the diversity of all life, and that lets go of control and sees it no longer serves us. That is my commitment. And I am finding that those perspectives can come from children, people I know. Like it doesn't need to come from some leader who I don't have access to. It comes from the humble conversations of, you know, teachers, people who, everyday people. And I guess I have one more second. I'll just say I've been thinking about, you know, remembering who we are, that this is a possibility to remember who we are, how beautiful that we belong to a system that is loving and gentle and kind, and that's the invitation here. What if we could be kind, gentle people in a kind, gentle world? That has me going to sleep at night, feeling not so alone in a time where we could feel alone, or I could feel alone. So I'm grateful for this community and for the Pachamama Alliance for always inviting a way of seeing the world, a way of being in the world, a way of being with each other that is invigorating. And I have love for you all.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kristin. Absolutely exquisite. We're going to give you all a chance to respond and comment or share, really. But first, I want to say a couple things, and you probably do too. Why don't you start, and then I'll.
No, you want to say a couple of things.
Oh, do you want to say a couple things?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, this is really to set up the sharing. I just want to say that if you think about the Pachamama Alliance programs, the Awakening the Dreamer Symposium, the Game Changer Intensive, the Drawdown course, and the commitment to building community, it's all designed for this. Who knew this was coming? But you could say it's all designed for this. And when I think about some of the phrases, some of the frames in our work, one is to hospice the death of the old structures and systems that no longer serve us, because they're dying and they're no longer viable. And the pandemic has really shown us that. And while we midwife the birth of the new structures and systems that will serve us. And I'm just saying that I'm doing that in my own life. When you talked about addiction, I love that, Kristin. For me, you know, people who have substance abuse problems, when they go to a rehab place, they need to stay there long enough to break their addiction. And in almost a unfortunate way, I think we're going to need to be in this state of what did Rev D said, healthy homestay. Another way of talking about it, John Powell says, we're in social solidarity, not social distancing, social solidarity and spatial separation. Social solidarity, but spatial separation. So this breaking our addictions is going to take some time for us to go through this initiation while we hospice the death of the old habits and ways of being that no longer serve us. And we've all known that for a long time. That's what our programs are about. While we midwife new practices that are conscious and ways of being that are consistent with the environmentally sustainable, spiritually fulfilling, socially just human presence on this planet. And then I'm going to, set up a question for you to share from. But Bill, do you want to make a comment too?
No, I'm stimulated by the conversation. Love to hear what people have to say.
Okay, so I'm going to, here's the kind of setup for the sharing. So, and then you can raise your hand and let us know you want to speak, and Josh will unmute you. Josh Wolf is helping us with this whole situation here, technology-wise. Given that this may be the biggest reset we've ever had, the most powerful opportunity to rethink, reimagine, recreate, re-give birth, that maybe that's why the virus is called Corona, because it's the crowning of a birth of something brand new. And from our wonderful friend Paul Hawken, who says, global warming perhaps is not happening to us, it's happening for us, just as Rev D talked about. How is this experience of the pandemic, of everything that's going on now, what teaching are you receiving from this set of circumstances, this time we're living in, this special time in history? What teaching, that's the question, what teaching are you receiving from this special, extraordinary time in history? So we're going to open the opportunity for you to speak, and you have to raise your hand. And Josh, would you come on and explain to people how to do that in case they don't know? Maybe they know, but explain to
Definitely. So at the bottom of your screen, if you move your mouse down on the window, you should see an icon for participants. And if you click on that, something will pop up, and there's an option there to raise your hand. And if you do that, starting to see some pop up now, we'll be able to call on you and open up your mic to share.
So let's start with David, who has his hand up. Can you see that, Josh?
Yep. Go ahead, David.
Yeah,
Thank you. Can you hear me?
we can.
Right. This microphone is sometimes dodgy. So for me, it's been about going out and spending time, as much time as I possibly can, in nature, tuning into what does nature have to teach us? What's the planet trying to tell us right now? And one of the things that's showing up for me is our communities have been disempowered. We've had the life processes taken away from us, so we don't know how to give birth on our own. We don't know how to die in our communities. This has all been professionalized, and somehow this is actually, that's being stripped away a bit, and we have the opportunity right now to remember that death is a part of life, that grief is a part of love, and to bring that back into the community and to empower our communities to hold that.
Thank you so much. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. You were good modeling, David. We'll try to do this sharing in 30 seconds. That was perfect. Kurt Hill, you're next. Can you unmute Kurt, please?
Hi, everybody. First, I just want to thank you, Lynn, and you, Bill, for making this time available for us, and for Rev D and Kristin, the just beautiful conversations, thoughts for us to have us be connected, be empowered in this time. For me, inside of this question, what's the learning? Well, one thing is, as I look out my window in my office, and I look at the trees, I look at the birds that come to the bird feeder, nothing has changed. That from nature's perspective, as I view it, nothing has changed. And that's really powerful for me, to realize that I'm living in a world where I'm just always present to the vibrancy and the resilience of life around me. And then the second thing that I'm present to inside of this question is, what am I giving my time to? And this pause is giving me an opportunity to really reflect on where I want to be devoting and investing my time, consciously, thoughtfully, mindfully, as opposed to just going along. So there is no, as Rev D said, going back to the way it was. There's going forward, and in the going forward, where am I going to be investing myself? And that's really the kind of the inquiry that I've been in, and the learning that I'm getting from this.
Thank you, Kurt.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you, Kurt. Let's go to Albert next. Wait for you to be unmuted, Albert. There you go. Okay. Go ahead. We can see you. You can go ahead, Albert. You have to unmute yourself, I think. You've been unmuted. Albert, we can't hear you. Would you unmute yourself? You know how to do that?
No.
We can't hear you, I'm afraid. So sorry. I think we're going to need to go to the next person. Try again, see if you can. Okay, we're going to let that go. Albert, we'll try and come back to you. How about Avi Edwards? Next.
Am I unmuted?
You are.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
Hi. Hello from Denver.
Thank you.
I wish I could see you while I'm talking instead of me. Two things that come to mind. And I am a worrier. So as this stuff starts to happen, I worry, and mostly I worry about my children, worry about their financial future, worry about their well-being. So one lesson is that worry is pointless. The other, which my daughter Sage reminded me, which is the way out of fear is service.
Mm.
So, and even little acts of service, like making sure I give someone a call that I haven't called in a while.
Mhm.
And then another lesson is that really it's all up to me. I cause it all. And that's very, very, very hard to keep in mind when the circumstances are so overwhelming. But just a reminder that I'm causing the matter. And I guess the most important thing is that social distancing, spatial distancing does not mean that I'm separated from people, and that I've got to do even more than I usually do to make sure that I maintain love and connection, because that is my source actually of energy and comfort in life, is connecting to other people. So it's just a lesson. And my greatest prayer is that people really do learn from this crisis, that there are so many. That's my greatest prayer, that people really do learn from this crisis.
Great. Thank you, Avi. And now to Carolyn, who has her hand up. Hi, Carolyn. Oh, we have Lila. Oh, there's Carolyn, and then we'll have Lila. Carolyn is unmuting herself, hopefully. There you go. Yes, we can hear you.
All right, so I'm on?
You're on.
Thank you. Loving all of this and being part of the community. What I'm working with in my life at this point in time is really being very present, learning to, not always there, but allowing time and recognizing what being present means and dropping into that deep place of listening. And as I do that, what I find is that this seems to be a great time of unknowing, and that I allow myself simply to be with that, of not knowing, not deciding what to do next before it's time, before I truly know without any question what my next step is. Mm. So I also was gifted with an idea, it's not mine, but of doing 24/7 prayer, if you want to call it that. But it's my attempt to, not in supplication kind of prayer, but a prayer of every single moment, finding something, finding a kernel of all those things I would love and want and see, from the birds, the squirrels that bounced through my yard, and the robins that showed up. I mean, it's as easy as that. Let's just drink in all the rain that's happening right now. You know, it's just so it's a daily practice of listening, being present, and celebrating.
Thank you, Carolyn. Wonderful. We'll go next to Lila. Let me just remind everybody to see if you can keep it to 30 seconds, because we have a lot of hands up, which we love. So Lila, back to you.
Hi, my name is Leela, and I'm a yoga instructor who travels globally to teach and train yoga practitioners. One of the things that I'm learning right now due to my work, first of all, I want to start by saying thank you for all this online work you're doing. I feel like a total groupie now. I have signed up for all of them. I'm in the latest course with Drawdown. I just finished the Game Changer last week. And I feel like everything I've been learning is for this exact moment. And so I want to thank you for that, because in this last little bit, what I've been able to do is sit with, and what I'm learning now is that people aren't sure about what to do in being asked to sit. And so what I've been investigating and learning is listening to people and coming up with ideas to help them strategize and move their ship in the right direction for themselves. So I feel like I could only do that because of all the work I've been doing in Pachamama the last 3 months. And so from the bottom of my heart, just thank you so much. It's immeasurable, your impact, and I can't wait to share you with everyone and have them participate in it, because it's just so life-changing, obviously. So thank you.
Thank you. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for that endorsement and drinking it in at this special time. We're going to call in one more person. I'm afraid we have limited time, but we're going to do this every Monday. So next and final, Janet Ryden.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me? Hi, you guys.
Hi.
Well, what I wanted to say is just that not to minimize the suffering and the challenges that this situation is presenting, but I'm excited at the same time as the opportunity that it gives us to really do all the things that we're all committed to, that we all have been talking about for years, for some of us lots of years, to really have a world that works for everyone. I mean, it's like a gift, this situation, and all the conversations that we've had with people to try to have them see things differently in the world, and if only they would see it the way we want them to see it, that things would be so great for everyone. This is like really the wind at our back for those conversations. If we can really embrace that, is how I see it. And we don't need everyone to change their mind and to change their way of thinking, because this will all be over, and there will still be people that will be saying everybody made too big a deal about this, and whatever they say about it. But we don't need everyone. But if it just feels like there's some opportunity for all that we're all personally committed to be the wind at our back, and if we can just take that and in our conversations forward, I know there's something really amazing that's going to happen out of it. So that's what I want to say.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank you, Janet.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody who shared. Thank you, everybody who hasn't shared. For whatever you were going to say, put it in the chat or just share it with the people around you. We're going to just say a few things and then take this to the finish line so we end before the hour. So, Bill, you want to make any?
Well, just a quick observation, something that's occurred to me out of this whole situation we're in, that the question that gets asked often when we're looking at policy change, direction for our society is, well, how are you going to pay for it? That stops so much is a totally illegitimate question, as we've seen from this situation, where when there's something that we know definitely as a society we say is a priority and we want to do it, the question, how are you going to pay for it, is not a valid question. We just pay for it by allocating resources to the direction we want our society to go. So as we come out of this, for me, the real question that I'm looking at and think Pachamama Alliance will be a part of the conversation is, well, let's see, what direction do we want to go? How do we want to, what society do we want to build? Where are there resources needed? If there's resources needed, do we have a commitment to it? If we have a commitment to it, the question, how do you pay for it, is irrelevant. It's what you do is you allocate resources to the things you're committed to. And so I'm looking at that and want us all to see how that works for all of us when we're participating and engaging in shaping the direction out of this shutdown into the new world that we're going to be moving into.
And I want to say the wonderful metaphor from the symposium, I'm sure everybody remembers it, the caterpillar butterfly. I think it's really important for the imaginal cells inside the caterpillar's body. In other words, the imaginal cells of our wonderful civilization. I would call it Pacha people, to cluster, as we say in the symposium. And when those enough imaginal cells, not just Pacha people, but conscious human beings, like you said, Janet, enough of us cluster, we become the genetic directors of the caterpillar's future, and the other cells become the nutritive soup out of which the imaginal cells make the unpredictable miracle of the butterfly out of the overconsumptive little brown fat monster called the caterpillar. And that maybe is the role that we have to play now. I'm really taking that from you, Janet, who shared last. So these conversations are going to be every Monday. I want to just let you know that the next one will be Monday at noon Pacific time until 1. We'll be inviting Anita Sanchez, who's one of our board members, who's just written a beautiful book. She's on Indigenous wisdom, to join us. Also, we're opening Sacred Space every day at noon. That's part of the Resilience and Possibility in These Times offering. Every day at noon, Pachamama Alliance for 5 or 10 minutes. There will be something on your screen that will explain to you how to join. Just opening Sacred Space every day at noon Pacific time if you want to join us. And then we're starting another Game Changer Intensive. As Leela said, it's a fantastic program, and if you've already taken it, take it again. It's perfect timing now to take that again. It's starting now, the Game Changer Intensive 8-week online course about the rigged game and how to de-rig it, the structures and systems that we need to hospice the death of, and how to bring forth a new, thriving, just, and sustainable way of life for all. The Game Changer Intensive is, registration is open tonight until midnight. Special for those of you on the call today. It was already closed, but I asked if Mario and everybody in they're in charge of that would open it till midnight Pacific time for people to sign up again or to take it if you haven't taken it. It's a perfect thing to be doing right now. And then we have a minister on our call with us, as I know you noticed, Rev D. I'm going to ask you, Rev D, we have 1 minute left. Can you do a benediction, a 1-minute benediction, please? Rev D.
Let's just all take a breath again. And we move into a place of absolute gratitude, where our hearts are overflowing with goodwill. We're feeling the connectedness, the possibilities, staying open. In this yielded, surrendered place, we remember that we are not just nouns that life is happening to. We are verbs. We are energetic fields that life is happening through. Let the healings begin. Let it begin, and let it begin with us. So it is.
So it is. Okay, could you open up all the lines, please, Josh? And you can.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So much
Beautiful. Beautiful.
fun, fabulous. Great conversation. We got this, don't we?
Get it riding.
Everybody.
Next week.
Bye.
Next week.
Stay.
I want to ask
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rusty. Hi.
Thank you.
We're all make sure everything's okay. And maybe set the heat.
Hindsight.
Gracias.
50, be fine since it's not heat.
Thank you, everyone, for your
And,
love and commitment.
If you could do that,
Our
to
well-being, to
like
our
to reduce your rent by
flourish.
$100 a month during the time that you do that.
Love being an imaginal cell.
And may ask you to let someone into the house to check on the possibility of me doing a mini split heating system with solar panels. I'm not sure